beautiful people? It's Pretty Girl Love Shop Content, and we are here to discuss the Continental. Okay, I'm excited. Um, this show was really good, y'all. This show was really good. If you're not aware, the Continental is a prequel, if you will, of the John Wick series. I'm a big John Wick fan. I love John Wick. Okay, a little, obsessive. Okay, I love me some John Wick. And John Wick is one of those movies. If you see it on, if you watch him cable, regardless of which one that's on, regardless of what scene is on, you're gonna watch it. At least that's for me. I'm gonna watch it. But this is the origin story of the Continental. If you're not familiar with, the Continental is actually the hotel, the kind of sanctuary for all the, hitmen, if you will, is their safe haven. Okay. So this is the origin story of how it actually began. So I'm excited to talk about it. This is a 3-episode series thus far. So this is episode 1, and we're going to get into it. Before we do, just want to address everyone that's here. Thank you, Torian, for coming through. Demarcus, Daria, Kendall. Thank y'all for coming through. Please make sure you like this video. Of course, I'm excited about this. I'm not sure if a lot of people is really on this show. I feel like it may be slept on. Of course, with the writer's strike, we are not seeing any promotion really for it, but we still gonna talk about it. So I want to know y'all input as I'm discussing some of these events. Okay. Yes, Torian. Only 1 episode left too, and I love that it's an hour and a half. Yes, it's like mini movies. It's like short movies. So I definitely love the fact that they're giving us a lot to work with. So I'm definitely enjoying it. But let's get into episode 1 without further ado, y'all. Apologize, this episode review was a little late because I've been sick. So I do episode 2 is already out. And I will be recapping that hopefully on Thursday evening, right before episode 3 is released. Okay. And then episode 3, I'll try to cover that probably next Sunday. We'll see how my schedule goes because I'm trying to preserve my voice. Okay. So y'all, we start off, okay, and I just love like the cinematography, like everything's so good with this show. So it begins. We in New York City in a little police station. Okay, I'm like, oh, we starting off like this. We start off like this. Okay, so we see 2 young men. It's 1955, so we taking it way back. Okay, and so we are introduced to Frankie and Winston. So Winston's he's a little boy. I'm giving Winston probably like between 7 and 10. Okay. I'll probably give him more like 8, between 8 and 10. Okay. Obviously, Winston did something he wasn't supposed to do. Okay. I already feel the little boy was peeing in his pants in the interrogation room as he was talking to Frankie. Okay. Frankie apparently seems like the older figure. Okay. Frankly, I'm giving Frankie preteens or early teens, right? So he's trying to take, pretty much trying to calm Winston down. Now, Winston, of course, he is introduced to us in the original John Wick. He's the head of the Continental in New York City. So now we're seeing him as a child. So I think this is a great, prequel to seeing, how he began his journey with the Continental, right? So Frankie is looking like he's taking the fall or taking the rap for anything that Winston possibly have done. Okay. So it looks like Frankie is holding it 10 toes down, and I appreciate it. Okay. Because Winston, whatever he would have got in trouble for, he wouldn't have been able to do it. He wouldn't have been able to do it. Hey, Kendall. Yes, boy, I got my hot tea with honey and some lemon in my little mug. Chocolate is always the answer. Y'all see that? Chocolate is always the answer. So I just made me some tea because I just got off Miss K's live, and I had a live this morning. So this is my 3rd live today. So I'm definitely giving T-Boz on tour, and voice is very tired. But thank you for rocking with me. I hope I don't sound too horrible. But thank you, Kendall, and I have my water here as well. Okay. So y'all, so Frankie and Winston, that's what we see as kids. And then, of course, we move later on in years. It actually says years later. All right. And we see Frankie as a grown man, okay? And he's coming out of some woman, apparently, some woman's apartment or hotel room. And she married, y'all. And Frankie knows she married, so he's obviously with the ish, okay? So off bat, we already know Frankie and the morals, eh, Frankie with the morals is it's a little shaky, okay? And he doesn't have any qualms about sleeping with a married woman, all right? And so we see him kind of going to this huge party. It's New Year's Eve, and we're doing all the things, okay? So it's seemingly, now we know with this particular show, it's after the Vietnam War. The Vietnam War ended in 75. So I'm giving this show probably like 76 to 78 ish. I'm not quite sure of the actual year, but it's given late 60s. I mean, sorry, late 70s. But he's in this party, okay, and it's given very much Studio 57. It's a Studio 57, Studio 54. I'm getting my numbers mixed up, but y'all get it, okay? We see drugs, we see women, we see people tonguing each other down, we see all the things, okay? They're having all the fun. And Frankie just minding his business, walking through all the fun because he just had the fun in the hotel room, okay? And then we are introduced, okay, to Mel Gibson's character, okay? I love me some Mel Gibson. So he has a brief moment in this particular scene, and he, was pretty much emphasizing how he helped raise Frankie. Okay. And I apologize. 1 second, guys. Give me 1 second. I apologize. Carmack. I don't know why Mel Gibson's character name just. I had a little brain fart. So Carmack, he is, seemingly someone who was a father figure to your boy Frankie. Hey, Candy Love, thank you for coming through, boo. So excuse me, y'all. So we see Frankie. He leaves this party, leaves the hotel, and he heads to a New York City subway, okay? And if y'all ain't never been to New York City subway on New Year's Eve, I suggest you not do it. I suggest you not do it. You're going to see craziness on a regular day in New York City in the subway. So on New Year's Eve at night, I don't recommend it, okay? So we see him going, a train comes, take most of the people that's on the platform. We see Frankie and another young gentleman go and actually in the little tunnel in the subway, okay? I immediately wanted to throw up, you guys. Yes, I'm already sick. And I was like, oh, the rats in the sewer water, I could never, okay? I can never. Now, if you would have told me it was $1 million at the end of that tunnel, I may take that trip if it's tax free. But I was like, oh, Lord, Frankie, what are you into? Are you about to see the Ninja Turtles? What's going on here? So we actually, go, these two young men go into this little room, if you will. And it has all this gold in there, but they're not even interested in the gold. There's a ancient coin press that they end up confiscating. Okay. Now they're supposed to be partners, but Frankie didn't get the memo because his quote unquote partner decided to, hold a gun to him. And of course, Frankie was like, whoa, what are we doing here? I thought we was doing a joint venture. And Mr. Sir was like, no, we were partners, but nah, bruh. So they end up kind of getting into a tussle, and we see a little cute little action move. And next thing we see, now this particular room was connected to the Continental, all right? So apparently there's an opening, and they end up inadvertently like shooting people in this party that they were just at. Well, at least Frankie was at. And so people are getting shot. It's causing all this commotion. So now all the security in the Continental is alerted. And next thing we see, Frankie's sitting there holding the coin press. And of course, the Continental security is like, Frankie, we not going to let you out of here with that. But what they failed to realize that Frankie is about that life. Okay. Frankie does not play any games. Okay. Frankie did what he needs to do to get away. But it ended up being this whole, like, it was given very much John Wick, okay? He was John Wick before he was John Wick. I mean, Frankie was getting away and fighting these people, okay? He had the karate moves. He had the gunplay. Like, it was on and popping. Like, I really enjoyed this scene because it was several men against one. And Frankie still was able to get away. I was like, Frankie, I'm starting to like you, boo. I'm starting to like you, all right? So we take a break from Frankie, right? Hey, Tamika. And then we switch over to London. I said, oh, what we got going on in London? So we see this smooth talking, charismatic guy at a table. You know what I'm saying? He's doing a little sales pitch, in this nice little swanky restaurant. And apparently he's trying to sell these guys on investing into a parking garage, okay, a parking lot. And, she's like, hey, we got all these skyscrapers out here. These people need to park. Okay. And I'm like, that's really a smart idea. So Mr. Davenport is the main investor that he's seeking, right? And he's not really trying to buy this idea. All right. So the deal, the conversation isn't really going very well until we see Mrs. Davenport. Okay. And she, of course, is seemingly not trying to be bothered. Okay. She was like, I'm just going to be over here bored. So she starts to entertain this young fella. Okay. And this young fella is young Winston. Okay. So at this point, I'm giving Winston, let's see here. If this is 70s, we was just at 55. So I'm giving Winston like late 20s, okay? Mid to late 20s. So, they're having this conversation, and Mr. Davenport isn't trying to invest because poor Winston is trying to get 2 million 2 million pounds. Okay. I'm like, oh, you asking for a lot, but it does take a lot to build a whole parking garage. Okay. And so Miss Davenport, she's making small talk, but like my husband, he only deals with like fabulous entertainment. And what you're trying to sell us is a snooze fest, sir. So what we talking about? So he brings up a young fella that, worked with David Bowie. So he gets the phone and have her talk to the fella. And that impressed Mr. Davenport. He was like, wire the money. Wire the money. So I was like, oh, that was real cute. So I'm like, all right, Winston, kudos to you. So next thing we see, Mrs. Davenport is meeting with Winston in a hotel. I was like, was you a part of the deal, ma'am? Like, what's going on? I just thought we needed 2 million pounds, not 2 million pounds. And, wife, like, is it a decent proposal? Like, what are we doing here? But come to find out, she was a mark for Winston. Okay. So apparently, this was a whole scheme to lure the 2 million pounds from Mr. Davenport. And Mrs. Davenport was all for it. Now, we don't necessarily know how long they've been doing this scheme. At what point, it was last week, possibly. He kind of explained what he was trying to do. And I'm sure Mrs. Davenport was going to get her cut. But I was like, okay, this is cute. All right. All right, Winston, I'm kind of here for it now. The Winston that we're used to, he's a lot older. We don't really know his history like that. So it's kind of cool seeing young Winston, all those suave and debonair. I said, all right, Winston. All right, you better scam the people out their money. So we switch over back into New York City. So Carmack over here, he's upset with his team. All right. And he's like, y'all haven't confiscated the coin press from Frankie. So what are we going to do? So apparently one of the guys was Mr. Avery. And he was like, Mr. Avery, sir, you got two options, okay? Due to your lack of being able to complete this task, you either need to jump from this window or you're, what's the word they use? Oh God, y'all help me, guys. Oh my God. Excommunicado. And he was like, you better think very well about being excommunicado, because remember, we have all these victims' families that's wanting to get some revenge to get back. So either you take the fall literally and jump out this window, or your family is going to be at risk. He was like, I know you got family. I believe he said it was in Chelsea. And yeah, it's going to be a problem. It's going to be a problem. So he ends up jumping out the window just as Winston gets to the hotel, because Winston gets kidnapped right after, he do his little piece with Miss Davenport. Okay. So apparently Cormac, he asked for Winston to come because he needs him to help find Frankie because Frankie and Winston are brothers, okay? And Winston made it very much clear, like, me and my brother, we don't have a relationship. Like, what are we doing? Your guess is just as good as mine, sir. What do you expect from me? Like, it was hilarious. So we get some feedback from, Cormac about Frankie a little bit. He said, hey, Frankie stole something very valuable. He became a very valuable asset in our team. I knew the war kind of messed him up, but it still made him an asset. I knew there was some drug usage. He has a little girl, a woman that he's kind of dealing with. So we already know all that. Frankie and the brain cells, it may not be, on par all the way, but we already saw what Frankie is capable of. So I'm not even mad. I'm not even mad, but I'm like, yeah, frankly, it's Lord. Frankie is going to cause some problems, you guys. Hey, Deli. So Kendall, you said, and Lance Perfect 10 without a scratch. Yes. Kendall, you said, so the little boy in the beginning is John Wick, correct? No, John Wick is not actually in this series. This predates John Wick. John Wick is probably a baby, an infant at this point. So this is pretty much the origin story of Winston, the guy who was the head of the Continental in New York, and his brother. And I foresee, of course, with this show and the way it's going, that Winston, of course, is going to take over and Cormac's demise, as we possibly may see next episode. So John Wick actually isn't a part of this series. But we already know the Continental is a very pivotal piece in what they call a lifestyle, if you will. Okay, so we see this awkward, intense love scene by two people in a horrible and nasty apartment. Okay, I was like, I can't believe y'all over here having relations and it's food and dishes everywhere. I was a little disgusted, but I said, okay, let me just focus on the task at hand. So immediately we find out that the woman is a detective and the man is married. Okay, so they're having unsanctioned relations with each other. So I'm like, okay, this is going to be some drama here. Okay, but the fact that she's a detective had me very much intrigued, and we find out she's the first detective of her department. I said, oh, I'm liking him, so I'm liking her, because we saw she was looking at her window, and apparently she's upset because a guy, her neighbor or so, refused to curb his dog. Okay, and I got a little triggered. Okay, because I have a neighbor who refused to curb her dog. And honestly, I know I shouldn't be saying this, and y'all may be shocked, but I want to snitch so bad to my leasing company. I'm like, I really want to tell that she's not curbing her dog, because that's just gross. Okay, and this is the reason why I'm not letting my husband have a dog at this point, because I ain't got time for that. I don't have time. I'm glad I clarified for that. Kenzo. Yeah, it was disgusting, Tamika. I'm like, y'all priorities are not in check. Okay. Hey, Savannah, thank you for coming through. I apologize. Let me just drink a little bit of my tea, because y'all know my voice is not up to par. Well, I did a good job. That's it. Oh, yes. Yeah, me. Let me pat myself on the back for that one. So next, we are introduced to two people, actually three people that are in this warehouse, and they have guns pointed to their heads. Okay, and it was two African American people and one Caucasian person. All right, one African American woman, one male, and one Caucasian guy. So I'm like, oh, I'm already intrigued. Okay, so there's a foreign guy who's ahead of them, talking cash-ish about Americans. And I said, sir, you need to die ASAP to the pronto, because what we're not going to do is be in America and you over here talking ish about us. Okay. I don't know what it is. I don't know what it is about us Americans that just angers foreigners so much. Or do you think it's jealousy? Or do you think they just really just think we just out here just disgusting, overweight, and just dumb? I guess it don't help based on our previous president. Let me be quiet. Okay. So in the midst, it looks like it was going to be a little dangerous situation, but apparently these people know karate and they was able to get out of the situation. And hey, we was able to pretty much overthrow the foreigner. Okay. And he was left running with his hand damaged. And look who's watching him run, the woman detective, tying it all together. So of course I'm getting more intrigued because I'm like, oh, this is getting very much juicy. Okay. It's giving very much Young and the Restless, and I'm here for it. Okay. Okay. But it looks like they were in the midst of a bad gun deal. So I'm like, oh, we're dealing with guns and now one of the guns in the gunfight was a whole flamethrower. I said, what did we get this? What did we get? We had, oh Lord, I was flamethrowers. What are we doing here? What are we doing here? My man was missing a whole finger. I'm like, oh my God, this is a little too much. A little too much. So De Silva is the name, or you want to call her KD. That's the woman detective, all right? Now she is on a hunt for Francis Scott, okay, Frankie, because she got wind that he's ahead of this whole little gun deal situation, all right? Now Mayhem is the guy that KD was screwing in a nasty apartment, and mind you, it was her apartment. So I'm like, extra ill, KD. I understand you're a detective, you work long hours, but you need to clean up, ma'am. This is not acceptable, okay? But Mayhem is not only the guy she's screwing that is married, he's her superior. I'm here for it. I'm here for it. I'm a little toxic when it comes to my TV viewing. I understand. I'm okay with it. All right. So they're pretty much communicating because she is watching and following. I believe his name is Uzman or Uzam. I apologize if I'm messing the 9-fingered man name up. All right. So she follows Uzam to the Continental because he goes in running like someone just stole his bike. Okay. Because, the African American man and woman told Uzman or Uzam, whoever your boss is, you need to relay this message that we are not to be F with at all, sir. Okay. So he goes running into the Continental like his bike was stolen. And in the midst of this, the Silva is talking to Mayhem, her lover slash, boss. And she's like, she's telling him where she's located. Okay. And he's doing the math like, my mental GPS. Oh no, she's at the Continental. Pump your brakes, ma'am. No, do not continue pursuit. This is not the place we need to go. This place is off limits. Of course, she is out of the car by the time he's telling her this. So he drops whatever he's doing because they're over there harassing and beating up a random person in an alley. He gets there in the nick of time before she reaches the steps of the Continental, and he tells her, let's go. Okay. So he takes her to an alley. She's like, what is going on? I'm in the middle of investigation. He's like, New York City has many addresses. Okay. And they have many buildings, but this is not the building that you need to go into. You don't understand what goes on in that place. I'm going to need you to back up. Okay. Just let it go. Just let it go. But she is not trying to hear it. And you could tell that curiosity in her is definitely peaking. Okay. And I'm like, girl, I'm gonna need you. We know she's not gonna listen at this point. We just know it. But I'm frustrated because I'm like, girl, just go back home and clean up your apartment. You have other, timely things that you need to worry about. So Winston, of course, he's now on a hunt to find his brother. So he goes to visit Charlie. Now, Charlie was kind of the one that's supposed to be there looking out for them when they were kids. So I'm just going to consider Charlie Winston and Frankie's godfather, if you will. Okay, not saying religiously, that's sanctioned, but I feel like he's like the godfather slash uncle figure. Okay. Now, Charlie He's setting up shop at the little junkyard or what have you, and he has two friends that's with him. Okay, so he asked, Winston, like, what are you doing back home? I heard you was in London doing well for yourself, and of course, Winston tells him what's going on with his brother. And Charlie's like, well, I haven't seen your brother about 3 to 4 months. Okay, the last time I saw his VA checks was being sent to this karate place. Okay, and so of course, Winston was like, I don't even F with my brother like that. I don't know why I'm on this assignment. But Charlie said something that was so deep and so profound, I had to write it down. He said, life will put you, I apologize, guys. He pretty much said to the essence, like, life will put you in a position where, it will make you pick up the phone for you, like make you be in a position where you have to pick up that phone, and it won't necessarily be a good thing. And I apologize. I don't know. It was some type of chicken scratch I done wrote on this goddamn paper, y'all. So my apologies. I'm like, was I high on the Tylenol when I wrote this note down? God, charge it to my heart. Not charge it to my brain, not my heart, y'all. But Charlie was giving him some sound advice, and Charlie, was like, I can help you with anything. And Winston was like, well, now that you said that, I need a vehicle. And he's like, hey, that's the one thing I can't help you with. And of course, that didn't last long, because lo and behold, he has a vehicle, but it's near and dear to his heart. So much so that Charlie gives Winston some strict advice. Okay, keep this car cover on my car whenever it is parked. And here's a vehicle, there's a pistol I'm going to equip you with, not for your safety, but it's for the safety of my vehicle. Y'all, that's so hilarious to me. Some of these men be so attached to their rides, it's not even funny. He's like, this is the love of my life. Oh my gosh. So Miles and Lou, okay, this is the African American gentleman and woman that we saw that had the guns to their heads, okay? And so they're arguing because Lou does not want to be a part of dealing drugs whatsoever. But we find out that Miles is a vet. He came from the war, and there wasn't many opportunities for him out coming home from the war. So he has a connect, so that's why he's over there dealing the drugs. But Lou is not here for it. They're over there arguing, but then we find out that they are the owners or the runners of the karate place that Frankie was getting his mail sent to him. But apparently, Miles is not feeling this karate place. It's pretty much a money pit. But Lou is just trying to honor her father's wishes by keeping it open. Okay. So we see Winston. He's approaching, and he goes in to this particular spot. And at first, Lou was giving him a little action. She was like, I do own this place, and I do give a little cute white boy discount. Like, how may I help you, boo? Even though she had her little protection, she had a little weapon on the side that he couldn't see, but she was still low-key flirting a little bit. See, I love a multitasking woman, okay? I love a woman that can make sure she's prepared, but also can, have her womanly wiles in the midst of, a possible dangerous situation, okay? But then he messes up, because Winston says, I'm looking for my brother Frankie. And Lou was like, yeah, you ever heard the term turning that frown upside down? Well, she turned that smile upside down, because once she heard Frankie, like, you could tell, you would have think that, somebody passed gas in the room, because she was not feeling it. She was like, oh, I see it now. I see it in the eyes. So apparently now we see that Frankie does not have the best relationship with Lou whatsoever. But she's like, I don't know where your brother is. We haven't seen him in months. But in the midst of this conversation, we actually hear some gunshots. So of course, Winston is thinking his brother may be in trouble. So he puts the gun to Lou's head, and they, follow each other through the basement. And, they realize that, her brother Miles and I believe Lenny is doing target practice. And of course, we get more intel on Frankie. And Frankie is pretty much a drug addict. He's unreliable. He don't be coming through when it comes to the drug, the gun deals. He, made Miles miss out on money and inventory. So they're pretty much done with Frankie. Okay. And they're like, Frankie, Lord, you over here, your reputation is horrible out here in these streets. You're a horrible friend and business partner. But they made a note. If they had to find someone to save their life, Frankie would be the one that they would call. I'm like, Jesus Christ. Well, Frankie, I just don't know what to feel about you at this point in time. Oh my gosh. But they say, hey, he may be over there, Alphabet City. Now, if y'all not familiar with New York City, Alphabet City is a little community inside of Manhattan. Manhattan, like, a lot of other cities around the country have little subsets. So Alphabet City is like in the lower portion, downtown portion of Manhattan, okay? Versus like a Harlem, where that's more of the upper, part of Manhattan. So Alphabet City, that's where he's known to be. Okay. But Miles is very generous. He ends up giving Frankie a gun. I mean, Winston a gun. I was like, oh, he's like, everybody's over here offering me guns. I said, yes, I'll take the guns because it looks very much dangerous outside. So Frankie leaves and we see this Asian fella. He's watching Frankie leave. And then he tells, a little young boy a little message and he scurries off. So I'm like, oh my God, we don't need you to be in any drama, Winston. But of course, just in good old sibling fashion, Frankie is going to call some heat in Winston's direction. We can already see that, right? I'm just saying. Jesus Christ. Kendall, you said, did you notice she had her hand on the knife attached to the wall, but once he came in the room, the knife wasn't there anymore. Where did it go? I may have missed that. Now you got me thinking, Kendall. Because because I don't think she like took it out. I feel like the knife was like in a holster. So I feel like by the time he had the gun to her head, she just kind of like released her hand from it, possibly. I would have to go back and examine that scene again. Well, I don't know, Kendall. I have to watch it again, girl. I watched it a couple times, but maybe I missed that part. So we see this detective chick. She decided yet again not to clean her apartment. But what did she decide to do? Go into the Continental. Okay. And I'm not even gonna lie, y'all. I love this scene because as she enters, we hear the big payback. Like it was fire. I really love this scene. Like it was just so 70s, so vibey. Like, I don't know. I was like, ooh, I want to be there. Let me get me a room in a Continental. Like, it was really fire. So we see her walking in. Of course, everything seemed normal. So she orders her little drink, a little whiskey, Scotch neat. Okay. And so the bartender, he's fixing her little drink and she gets her wallet and pays for cash. So of course, we don't pay for cash in the Continental. We don't pay cash. What? Paper money? We don't do that here. Paper money? So, of course, the bartender looks at her and he looks at a young fella, that's there. And, of course, it's triggering all these little communications around the hotel lobby. And I'm like, girl, you done messed up now. You trying to pay with your drink with real money. We don't, no, girl, we use coins over here. I really love this scene, just the nonverbal, acting here. It was real cute, right? So when, the bartender, he pretty much got the okay or the go ahead to accept the money because, we're not trying to look, too obvious here. Okay. So he takes her money and then Miss, detective lady over here, she realizes that the bartender has a gun. He's packing heat up in his sock. Okay. So she's looking around. She's kind of noticing a little bit that she's looking like a fish out of water, but she still goes with the flow, right? But of course, she got to test the waters a little bit more. So she goes to the receptionist and she's like, hey, can I get a room? And of course, the receptionist say, like, we're pretty much booked, man. We're fully booked. I can give you some recommendations. And so while she's telling, we see the receptionist, she got a little gun in her little blazer. And I was like, and I know Miss Detective Chick was like, what's going on here? She's like, what's going on here? The silver was lost. She was like, oh, I am really intrigued now. We already know with these type of people, these type of characters, they really just not gonna get it until they get it. Okay. So I'm praying for her safety because I just feel like her spidey senses is going to cause some trouble. Okay. And so she declines the recommendations that the receptionist gives her. So she goes out her little merry way. But of course, we see Sharon. We see Sharon. He kind of sees her, and I apologize. We get introduced to a teenage Sharon in the meeting with Cormac. Okay, right before the guy, kind of off himself. But the actor who plays Sharon, kudos to him because the the mannerisms that he has. Oh my God. And rest in peace to the actor who plays Sharon. I'm sorry, I can't think of his name right now. But this young actor who's portraying Sharon, like he has this actor's mannerisms to a T by the way he walks, by the way he talks. Like, I love it. He's doing a hell of a job as Sharon. So I love seeing that we have a teenage Sharon here. So I don't know why Sharon's character always intrigued me in the John Wick shows. I mean, sorry, movies. So I'm glad to see that we're incorporating him in this show. Really good. I really love that. So y'all, oh Jesus Christ. So Winston goes to the movie theater that he, heard his brother was staying at. Okay. And this movie theater is booby trap. Okay. It's giving very much Home Alone. Okay. It's giving Home Alone to the point where we have, the screen automatically like comes on when he enters. And it was hilarious because he sees little dummy, literally like a dummy sitting down. He thinking it's his brother because it does look like his brother from behind with this haircut. And then next thing we know, we playing Hangman. We playing Hangman. Winston's up in the sky like a little birdie. And I'm like, Lord Jesus Christ. But Yen, okay, this young lady, she's like, oh, I got me one. I was going fishing and I got me one. So it was hilarious. So next thing we see Frankie. He comes and it looks like poor Frankie, like he ain't showered in days. Oh Lord. But frankly, he comes and saves because he realized, oh, this is my brother up here. And of course, Yen, she's like, your brother, you have a brother. What's going on here? So we find out that Yen is his wife. Okay. I don't know. I kind of feel like they probably ain't have no traditional wedding. Like, are y'all playing us? Y'all boyfriend and girlfriend just want to say wife, husband? Y'all let me know. Y'all let me know. So he asked him, like, hey, brother, what are you doing here? He said, hey, you done effed up. So Carmack, he summons me to come find you because you messed up and stole something very valuable from him. So we all in this together at this point. So we got to figure it out. Okay. So he's like, yo, bro, I have enough money. We can go ahead and escape. Like, we just need to go because now Yen, she's frustrated because he's like, dang, your brother made the block hot. Like, now we can't really stay here. We don't know if he was followed by anyone. Like, we don't know what is about to happen. And she wants to stay and fight. That's her whole thing. She wants to stay and fight. She don't want to move. And she's probably been moving for forever. She's probably tired of being on the run. She doesn't want to be Beyonce or Jay-Z. Like, she's tired. She want to stay and fight. And I'm not mad at her. But at the same time, like, girl, no, let's go. So Frankie tells Winston, what he stole, was an ancient coin press. And he said, the people that Cormac now works for, they're hella dangerous. Okay. And he was given a proposition and a deal to steal this coin press, but he was gypped in the deal. And now he's pretty much just stuck with the coin press. Okay. And so he's like, we're going to go to Charlie's and we're going to figure this thing out. Right. And so we see Sharon. He reports the failure to confiscate the coin press to Cormac, right? So Cormac, he was like, oh, Lord, okay, let's get some reinforcements. Go give me the weirdos. So Sharon was like, which ones? This hotel is at capacity full of weirdos. I'm gonna need you to be more specific, sir. He's like the weird ones, the twins, Hansel and Gretel, whatever their names are. I'm just like, y'all wilding out. Y'all are wilding out. So Sharon goes to, they are very much indeed weird, okay? And we see Hansel and Gretel, and Sharon comes. He was like, yeah, Mr. O'Connor wants to know if you so kindly have some additional room in your schedule for additional assignments. And they're looking at each other like, I immediately, when I see these two, I was like, yeah, whatever excitement they get, they execute. So I immediately got frustrated because I'm like, they're going to be a problem. They are going to be a problem. And I'm a little nervous. So we see that Mayhem delivers Frankie's file, okay, to the friends. Lord Jesus, what is this woman's name? Nasty detective lady who don't like to clean her department, De Silva. So I don't know why. When I don't know, this scene, I was trying to read it, like her context, like her nonverbal cues. Because she seems to have some sort of connection to Frankie. So I'm like, is this a long lost sister? A long lost relative? Like, I don't know. I hope they reveal something like this in episode 3. Because I'm a little confused. Like, what connection does De Silva have with Frankie? Like, I'm a little intrigued. Because it doesn't seem like, oh, I'm just trying to get a criminal. Like, it seems a lot deeper than that, right? So apparently, we find out through conversation with Frankie and Winston that their family lost their loan, their home, because their father took a loan from Cormac. So Cormac pretty much put them in a position where they're just homeless. And then he ends up kind of being some sort of like a father figure-ish to them. So you could tell the psychology of this relationship is real toxic and real effed up. Like, I'm like, oh, this is a lot going on here. Like, a lot. A lot. Kendall, you said it reminded you of the Squid Game characters. Kendall, you said definitely was giving off Jay and Bay on her. Yes. He does have his mannerisms down pat, Tamika. So Charlie's friend, he's on the phone selling out Winston and Frankie. You know, he's on the phone with Cormac's people. I was like, yeah, they're both here. What do you want me to do? I'm like, it always got to be one thirsty son of a gun in a bunch, doesn't it? I'm like, Jesus Christ. Excuse me, y'all. All right, sorry. I apologize. Voice is cracking a little bit. So, Yen, okay. Yen, I love her. I love this character, okay? She is so fire to me, okay? So she decides to take her behind pretty much, not really a roof, but she's, I don't know, some type of, I can't think of the structure I'm trying to say. But she's pretty much an eye in the sky at this point where she's trying to peep and make sure there's nobody else coming and that can possibly, you know, trace them to where they're located. Like, I love this character. Like, she ain't playing no games at all, okay? So Frankie and Winston are having a heartfelt conversation in the car, you know, and next thing we see, Charlie's friend is coming up to the car and about to kill Frankie. But who comes to save their lives? Yen. Yen is doing her business. She pretty much, you know, disables the hot mess friend. And thank God her eye was in the sky. Well, she was kind of more of a bird's eye view, but she was able to determine and see what was going on, thereby saving her husband and her brother-in-law. And I'm like, see, you always need somebody like Yen. And so when they realized what Yen did, she was like, yo, Charlie's friend sold us out. And then as we noticed that, you know, what's going on, we see some cars coming. So of course, now we got to go on the high-speed chase. I said, if this day isn't stressful enough, we didn't have no coffee, no nothing. Now we got to go on a high-speed chase. But this was one of my favorite parts of the show. I love a good action sequence. Okay, so we are over there. Sorry, guys, 1 second. All right, I'm not gonna be too much longer because I'm not trying to kill my voice. So while we're in the midst of this car chase, y'all, Winston is doing the best driving he could possibly be. Like, it's given very much like I just got out of driver's ed, but we're doing the bare minimum here with this car chase. Okay, again, in the back seat, she's doing her thing with the machine guns. Like, I want to be like her when I grow up. I want to be like, yeah, when I grow up, because this girl is fearless. Okay, she is handling her things. I'm like, oh, she's been through some things. Okay, I don't know what type of school she been through. Like, it's given very much like Uma Thurman and Kill Bill. Like, this girl has been trained. I don't know who trained her, but I need the number and the name because she was doing it. Okay, she was getting as many away from us as possible. Okay, but of course, we have to keep in mind that Winston is not used to this life. Okay, so before we know it, we're in a whole car wreck. Car to flip over. They escape and go into this apartment building with the bad guys. They're a little too slow because they think that they're still in the car, right? So we see Winston and Frankie. They're over there fighting people in the hallway, okay? Meanwhile, Yen, she's in a different like floor or hallway, and she kind of escapes to this apartment with this little baby that's crying, right? And yeah, I felt so much nostalgia because they had a little commercial play. Sometimes you feel like a nut, sometimes you don't. Enjoy that. Yeah, it took me way back because I was an Almond Joy fan. Okay, my grandma loved the mounds because she didn't like the nuts. So I started thinking with my grandma because she always knew when she goes to the grocery store, I'm getting me an almond nut, an Almond Joy, and she gonna get her little mounds. Okay, let my husband tell you that's an old lady candy, but I don't care. I have an old spirit. Okay, but yeah, it was so nostalgic hearing the commercial, right? So Yin realizes she has blood on her hand. So she's like, dang, he's gonna be able to probably find me. So next thing we know, one of the bad guys finds her and they get into those whole tussle. And I'm like, Lord, I hope this baby does not get hurt. So of course, I'm like, hold up, baby. Here's the parent. The mom is on the couch, apparently all drugged up. Okay. She's probably on the needle real bad. She's oblivious to what's going on. What's going on? So we have a whole fight up in here, and the mama ain't you. Child, I don't need drugs like that. I don't need drugs like that. But next thing we see, Yin ends up killing the guy. Like, he literally had his hand like stuck in like the garbage disposal, and then she literally chopped this man the back of his head with a whole iron. That's a bad beat right there. That's a bad beat if I have ever seen one. I'm like, yes, again, like I was low-key like rooting for her the whole time. Not the whole time, because at first I was like, calm down. That's his brother, girl. But I was like, at this point, I'm like, yes, Yen, give me all the things, right? So we have Yen over here fighting for her life in this apartment. And then we have Frankie and Winston in the hallway. During this time, we see Hansel and Gretel weird asses coming up the elevator. I said, see, we don't have time for this, okay? Because I already know they meant business. Like, I can tell their approval rating is at 100%, and I'm nervous, okay? They're really scaring me at this point. I'm like, Lord, they're gonna cause us to trip up, and I don't like it. I don't like it. So one of Charlie's friends, he said earlier he had access to a helicopter, and that's how he's able to make ends meet. So we see the helicopter. We get to the helicopter on the roof, and then as soon as we kind of get on the helicopter, head go the twins come just in the nick of time. So they kind of, shoot at like the back part of the helicopter. That wasn't good enough. Of course, the next best thing is to shoot the pilot. So they end up shooting the pilot, and I'm like, Lord, we just want to get away. So we get maybe like 7 yards in the air, and Frankie decides to be like, you know what? He tells his brother and his wife, I need you guys to stick together. They want me in this coin press, and that's what they gonna get. So Frankie decides to hop his raggedy behind back on the roof, and then heads on Grano shoots his behind. I said, what in the suicidal mission? Like, we was right there. We was right there, Frankie. What are we doing? Frankie, like, maybe he was just at that point, he was like, I'm tired. You know how some people just go through so much shit in life, and they was like, you know what, I surrender. I'm tired. I'm tired. I was like, y'all done got me all attached to Frankie. He just committed suicide. Like, what we doing here, Frankie? Like, I was falling in love with Frankie. I'm like, what? And you know Yin, she's upset. Yin is about to be on a warpath, okay? Because one thing Yin ain't playing about, she ain't playing about her husband, okay? I don't know if it's legal, okay? But she ain't playing with her husband. Whew. Child, I was so upset. Yes, Tamika, I was so pissed. I said, we was right there. We got money. Even though I low-key feel like the way these people are pressing about this coin press, pun intended, they would have been finding Frankie and all these people anyway. But I'm like, hey, at least let's run off to the beach somewhere. We got what did Winston get from Mr. Davenport? 2 million pounds. I don't know what the conversion rate is to USD, but that's a comfortable amount after Mrs. Davenport took her portion. We don't know how many other people that Winston was scamming. Winston probably had a nice size account. Like, why are we doing this, Frankie? You just gonna leave your wife like that? And you know, Winston really ain't about that life. How much can he protect? Like, it's more gonna be so Yin protecting Winston. What we doing? Oh Lord, y'all just really just giving me an emotional roller coaster, and I just don't know what to do with these feelings, y'all. So next thing we see Yin and Winston show up to the karate spot, and they gonna tell Lou and Miles, I need guns. Lots of guns. And the episode goes off. I was like, God, I need 20 more minutes. I need 20 more minutes. Y'all can't do me like this. I felt like a drug fiend. Like, I started to scratch. Like, I need more minutes. You remember back in the day when we had to ain't get free minutes till after 7 o'clock. Like, I need more minutes. Why y'all doing me like this? But y'all, this first episode was so good. I thoroughly enjoyed it. I loved it. No complaints whatsoever. I love the action sequences. I love the score, the storyline. Just everything's good. Like the acting. I can't say anything bad about this show. Tori, you said, I knew, by the way, Winston didn't mention or doesn't mention Frankie much at all in the Jay Wick movies. That Frankie was, yeah. But I was wanting a little more. Y'all just gave us a little taste of Frankie. Like, at least wanted Frankie for 2 episodes out of the 3. Like, I don't like those type of factions. Oh, Lord. Hey, Jay Wiltrap, what's up? You said that it did feel like a movie. They are definitely giving us many movies. Like, I really love this episode. Episode 2 was pretty good. My goal is to recap that Thursday night. I just need to rest my voice some more because I have 3 lives. Well, this is my 3rd live of the day, and I got a lot of work this week, so I'm probably gonna be talking to my coworkers a lot more than I normally do. So I'm trying to save my voice, okay? Kendall, you said, I definitely love the action. Those headshots were fire. Yes. Like, I really love Frankie. Like, Frankie had me questioning my loyalty to John Wick because I'm like, well, Frankie, you're giving me all the things. You're John Wick before John Wick. Like, you're really giving me the things. Like, I was like, John Wick, you may have to take a back seat because Frankie is doing the thing for me. Because Frankie was still kind of a loose cannon because it didn't look like he showered that much, and he was a drug addict. So maybe he really wasn't too much competition for John Wick. But it was close, y'all. He was in the running. He was in the run, and he was cheating on his wife too. So yeah, I'm sorry, Frankie. I can't rock with you like that. But I love you, boo. I still love you from afar. Yes, I did. Moochie did tell me that he was in Animal Kingdom. Tamika, I did not watch it though, but she said he did his thing. He did his thing in Animal Kingdom. So I'm very intrigued. I love this actor. I'm just mad that I only saw him for 120 minutes, if that. Well, it wasn't 2 hours long. It was like an hour and a half long. But yeah, good episode. Can't wait to see what episode 3 has in store. I'll be recapping episode 2, most likely on Thursday. But I appreciate you guys for rocking with me. I know this show was kind of slept on, and it may not be everybody's thing. So I appreciate all the views. If you can share it with anybody you think you may enjoy this review, please do so. Please like the video. Please subscribe. Please do all the things for me. And I appreciate if you haven't caught my Power Book for Force season 2 episode 5 review. I did that this morning. Please rewatch, replay it if you want to do it at work tomorrow. You know, that's fine. I have a sister up in your ear, okay? But yes, y'all, please enjoy. Have a great week. I really appreciate you coming through this Sunday evening. Tamika, you said you wanted a little more too. Thank you, Kendall. Yes, love and light. And I'm going to go ahead and try to get me some rest. Okay. And I love you guys. Toodles.